All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Here it is. It's episode 14 of the OGs podcast presented by Parx Sportsbook. It's Harry Mays. It's Jason Myrtetus. It's a Tuesday, and Harry is back north of the Mason-Dixon line. What's going on, Harry?
Yeah, I'm back, and it's like I had to recreate the internet now, logging on to StreamYard to do the podcast. It was like not recognizing my usernames, my microphone, my camera, nothing. It was like the whole thing fucking blew up.
They thought that you moved down south and retired, Harry. You went to Florida, and they figured they'd deactivate your account.
It's ridiculous. I tell you, this Google is very uncooperative for me quite often.
Is that right?
It's very uncooperative. Yeah.
You seem to have a lot of issues with Google, do you?
Yeah, I do. I really do.
Which is a problem because we've become so dependent on the goddamn internet.
I know.
That when something doesn't work, we're like, it's insane. I was doing a podcast yesterday, a live stream with Taryn Hatcher, Harry.
Yeah, sure.
From NBC Sports Philly on Stick to Hockey Live.
Stick to Hockey.
Yeah, it just booted us both off immediately.
Really?
At one point. Yeah. No warning.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I sound like an old man because I am an old man, but everything in life now is username and password. I've got so many fucking usernames and different passwords. It's if I ever lose this phone, I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely dead because everything is in here.
Yeah, you have all that password thing in there.
Every password that controls my life is in this phone.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
It is. Yeah. Because I have like variations of passwords, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I'd use, but I don't know which variation is for what site.
Right.
I don't have a goddamn clue.
I know.
It's a pain in the balls too.
I know. I was just trying to sign into Twitter on Google. Okay. Normally I'll use the Safari stuff and that keeps all your passwords.
Yeah.
I know Google does too, but I don't feel like reloading them all into Google. So I just tried to get on Twitter from Google and I'm putting in it says enter your username. So I put @HarryMaysTU. It says incorrect. It's telling me that my Twitter feed is incorrect. Are you serious?
You're like, wait a minute. Yeah. It's not incorrect.
It's not incorrect. I'll tell you when it's incorrect. Okay.
Yeah. I love when it says that. It says like wrong email. You're like, my ass. It's my only email.
It's my email. Honestly, I don't like when anything thinks it's smarter than me. A fucking device. Yeah. Don't try to predict my text. Don't try to tell me what websites I want to go onto. I tell you that. That's the way it works.
That's what the search bar's for.
Exactly.
I don't need you to type it and be presumptuous.
Yeah.
I tell you, this Google and this stuff's got us by the balls, doesn't it?
All these Silicon Valley fucks. I can't stand them. Yeah. They own us. That's why. They own us.
And I'd like to take this phone, other than because they have the Parx app on it, and pitch it into the ocean.
I know. Exactly. I tell you, I would. Speaking of the Parx app, I've got that up because I'm playing a college basketball game tonight. I think there's going to be about 6 teams that punch their ticket to the big dance tonight. So tonight's really when things get really kicked into high gear here in conference championship week.
Okay.
And I'm looking at this Gonzaga St. Mary's game on the Parx app. It's the finals of the West Coast Conference. These teams have met twice already during the regular season. They split their previous meetings. Gonzaga is a real good squad, and St. Mary's is no slouch either. Like I said, they split earlier in the year, and the total points scored in both of those matchups were 132 and 124. Wow. And for some reason, the total is all the way up to 140.5 on Parx. Meanwhile, Gonzaga is 9-3 to the under in their last 12 games. I'm going under 140.5 tonight in this game.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
And it's a great time to get the app because
it is.
I mean, you have the opening weekend of the tournament is about as chaotic as it gets and so much fun. And the live in-game betting for the tournament, it's off the charts.
Yeah.
So do you have a play on the players this weekend? Do you have anything you like there, huh?
Yeah, I placed 7 wagers this morning on the Players Championship, Jason.
Sorry, I asked.
Well, I mean, you asked, and I've got them written down here. I'm in a one and done pool with 50 other people, 49 other people, and I have Daniel Berger this week in my one and done, and I also have him top 5 at plus 800. Then I took Adam Scott for a top 10 at plus 330. Sung Jae Im for a top 20 at plus 200. Keegan Bradley, top 20 at plus 400. Francesco Molinari for a top 40 at plus 200. And then I'm in on 2 matchups. I took Brian Harmon minus 120 over Johnny Vegas and Gary Woodland minus 120 over Tony Finau. And I'll probably put in more.
It's a big week. It's only Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday. I have till Thursday, very early in the morning. I think around 6:45 a.m. They'll probably shut down all the sites because I think they tee off at 7.
Yeah, but then you get your live, like almost in-game stuff going as well. Well, geez. All right, everybody. That's the whole episode.
There you go. All right. Is that enough content
play on the players?
Is that enough content for you?
Yes. Get the app and you can get those bets in that Harry just mentioned. Risk-free, first one up to $500 just for getting the app, opening up an account, deposit, and that first bet is risk-free up to $500. And you can check out all the different ways you can bet. I love the head-to-heads that you have there with
the matchups.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. It's great. It's a great way to bet golf because betting, to win is it's a real crapshoot. I mean, every now and then you might hit one. But like I had Scotty Scheffler a couple of weeks ago and my one and done when he won in Phoenix, so that was a good hit. But betting the matchups is great because they only have to beat one other player.
Yeah, not the field.
Right. Yeah, it's awesome.
Brilliant. And, if you're betting the winner of the tournament, it's such a long play.
It is.
You're looking at 4 rounds. I mean,
I know.
There's no instant gratification in that. So get the Parx Sportsbook app and download it. And again, open up an account, deposit, first bet risk-free up to $500, and follow Parx on the social channels at Parx Sportsbook. Follow them on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook as well. And you get great content there, daily specials, and tons more. We actually have a lot to get to in this episode, Harry. But first of all, how's the paw doing?
Oh, it's all healed up. I mean, everything's fine. I don't know if you can really see that there, but it's all healed up. I played a couple days in Myrtle Beach, before heading home, and so I was on the shelf for about 6 days where I couldn't play golf, so it was fine.
Yeah, so you're back now. That's good. The grip's all good and everything now?
Everything's fine.
It's no hamper at all. That's good.
Nope.
And you were at the Sixers game last evening.
I was.
How was the atmosphere?
It was great, man. Met up with a couple of old college buddies from my Shippensburg days, some fraternity guys, and one of them works for a local bank, and they had their suite. He had the suite for the night.
Wow.
And it wasn't catered or anything. Like, there was no beer or food in it. We did that ourselves, but we had the suite and the tickets and the parking and everything. And this was center court, dude. I'm at center court for Sixers Bulls. It was awesome. And the atmosphere is great. You go to a Sixers game, especially now. The energy in that building it's palpable, from start to finish. And, they do a great job of keeping everybody, involved and engaged throughout the game, even during the down times and so forth. So it's a lot of fun. I haven't been to a game in quite a while, a couple of years. But I wanted to make sure that I got to one of these games before, the playoffs. Now that Harden is in town, it's just such a different experience now, knowing that, this whole Ben Simmons thing, we're beyond it. He might be coming to town, Thursday night. I guess, they're saying he's going to sit on the bench and support his teammates. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. He's definitely not going to play. We do know that, which doesn't surprise me. But the energy surrounding the Sixers team now it's awesome. I mean, Harden fits like a glove on this team with these other guys. You see, this Maxey kid. If there's
He's unreal.
If you don't enjoy watching him play basketball, you just should not watch sports. Yeah. Because I don't know if there's a kid in the NBA that's having more fun and lets you know that he's having fun than him. He has always got a smile from ear to ear. Mm-hmm. He just loves what he's doing. He loves playing with Embiid. He loves everybody on this team just loves him. He's one of those magnetic kind of guys.
Infectious.
Yes, infectious is a great word. And he has now moved into the third option now. Tobias Harris is now down to number 4.
Which is a good thing.
It is a good thing. I don't know if it's a good thing that you're paying that much money for a guy who's now your 4th option. Yeah. But he's really sort of had a tough time this year. And now he's having a tough time really fitting into this new, dynamic and this role. His shooting percentage is way down. He's missing some easy ones. He's having a rough time. I don't know if he survives this to next season. I just saw some rumors on Twitter. Andrew Bogut, former professional basketball player from Australia, was on some podcast saying that he thinks Bradley Beal is going to work his way to the 76ers in the offseason through some sign and trade. I mean, could you imagine that? They could offload Tobias Harris and bring in Bradley Beal to this roster? That would be incredible.
So you got Embiid, Harden, Maxey, and Bradley Beal.
And Thibault.
And Thibault, who's a great defender.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That would be pretty sick.
When Thibault came in, I was so impressed with him because he's a guy that came in and prided himself on playing good defense. There's not a lot of glory in the defensive side in the NBA or in basketball. But he's like, that's what I'm good at. I'm going to come to the NBA, and that's what I'm going to do right away. That's where I can impact a game immediately. I got to get better offensively. But I was so impressed by that because there's a maturity that comes with that in a league where it's, and in sports right now, because of SportsCenter and all that it's highlight driven. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of highlights defending.
Right. Every now and then, you get a big steal or something that turns into a fast break dunk or something like that. But you're right. He's an elite defender, if you ask me. I mean, Ben Simmons is an elite defender too. I mean, we used to have two of them on this squad. Now it's it's primarily Thibault's role.
The one thing about Thibault too is the elite defender, and Ben Simmons was a 3-time All-Star here, and I was reading this article on Inquirer.com this morning. And it came. Let me get the writer here for you, Gina Mizell. She covers the Sixers, and the headline says Ben Simmons should receive a tribute video during Thursday's Sixers Nets game. Doc Rivers says, and Doc said in the piece, he said Ben did a lot of good things here. He said it didn't end well, just like marriages and all kinds of other things don't end well. But he'd have no problem with Ben Simmons getting the tribute video. Well, tribute video or not, Har?
I'm not really one to get involved in tribute videos. I sort of leave that to the Flyers organization. They're pretty good at doing all that kind of thing because they're always bringing back somebody, whether it's on somebody else's team or they just bring them back to their team and so forth. But hey, if they want to have a video and Doc Rivers wants a video, hey, fine. That's great. I'd be curious to see how the fans in the building would react to that.
Bingo.
That would be very interesting because you'd have to leave out a couple of big plays that he didn't make and didn't want to make, which I think are the ones that are really rolling through the fans' heads at this point in time. One against the Atlanta Hawks, I remember. One against the Celtics in the playoffs a couple of years ago. I mean, those are the things, unfortunately, for Ben that the fans are going to remember.
If I was the Sixers, and they're probably happy that I'm not, and I'm making this decision, I'm putting out the Ben Simmons tribute troll video.
That's what I'm saying. All the bad plays, right?
Yes.
The ones he passed up the dunk.
The missed free throws, the gutless plays.
Yeah.
I'm showing a montage of him sitting out his whole rookie year.
Right. Or just dribbling the ball up to half court, then handing it off to somebody else and going and hiding.
Yeah. I'm bringing in Drew Hanlon to ring the bell.
Oh, yeah. The shot guy?
Yes. Who I saw was advertising on Twitter to get a new client. And I'm going, dude, you have a case study with Ben Simmons that's not exactly, shining a great light on you.
Right. Yeah, that's not really good for his branding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, if Ben's on the bench, it's going to be a big night. And look, I tried and get out of, sports hate and sports resentment are real. Mm-hmm. But I hope the guy can turn his career around, whatever. Good on him if he can. If he can't, then whatever. I'm not going to lose any sleep over Ben Simmons either way.
No, I'm not either. I'm on to Harden. I'm just excited about the way this team looked. They're 5-1 with him. And the one game they lost, he didn't even play against Miami the other night. So, it's just going to be so cool to in the fourth quarter to have a guy like that, that can close games out. It used to be everything had to go through Embiid late in the game. And, he got to the free throw line a ton last night. And, but it's tough, going through your big man as your go-to guy late in games in the NBA without having any guy on the perimeter being able to do it. Now they got that guy. He's
Yeah,
incredible.
and both of those guys can create their chance
Yep.
in different ways. The thing is, you mentioned like, there's a vibe in that building and everything.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about this, I think it was yesterday. I was driving and, certain sports teams, and the Sixers have it right now in spades, have presence. Like when you're in the building, you're like, what? This is big,
It's
right?
a
There's
big
some,
night. Yeah.
yeah, it's big. There's a vibe and there's a presence to when that guy is playing.
Mhm.
And with the Sixers, it's now multiple players. And it took me back, like what it must have been like at spring training heading into the 2008 Philly season in
Mm.
February and March after they make the playoffs. And you walk through that clubhouse and there's a young Utley and Rollins and
Mhm.
Howard and Cole Hamels and Brad Lidge comes in and Shane Victorino and Jason. Like imagine the
Yeah.
presence that was there,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Well,
And
I
there's
went
a
down
vibe.
a couple of those years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we when I was doing the night shows back then
Maze to Midnight.
well, no, this was before that. This was when it was
Oh.
like me and Yannick Cohn and Robbie E.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was just me and Robbie E for a while, and then they shuffled it around again. But we went down as a group and did a couple of shows from down there and stayed down a couple nights and experienced the whole thing. The games were the place was packed. I mean, you're right. There was an energy, from early March, people when the anticipation of this great season with this whole lineup of young, players coming together. There was definitely a vibe.
Did you go the next year after they won the World Series heading into 2009? They go back to the World Series in 2009 against the Yankees, but I imagine that year was even more of like a buzz,
I
because
don't
that
think we
team had
went down
won.
there. I think I went down like 06, 07, 08
Yeah,
were
see,
the
that's
years we went
great.
down. Yeah.
But there is like you knew it then when you walked in the ballpark,
Mhm.
and they're out there warming up pregame, taking ground balls and BP, and you see those guys, and you're like, there's a vibe here.
Yeah. We
This
got a
is real.
squad. Yeah, we got a
Yeah.
squad.
Yeah, and because like we're not idiots when it comes to sports. Like it, you feel it, and there's just
Mhm.
a vibe. So we'll see what happens coming up on Thursday when Ben returns, and I'd love to get that feeling back with some more of the teams. Like it was that way, obviously, with the Eagles too.
Oh,
In
yeah.
many of those McNabb years,
Mhm.
and then obviously after they won the Super Bowl, it was like that. But that kind of was fleeting for that team.
Yeah, like for those Eagles teams, in most of the Andy Reid era, you knew this at the start of the season you had a playoff team.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
Just a question if you could stay
something
healthy.
great about that. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, we're one of the top 5, 6 teams in the NFL right now, coming
Yeah.
right at the start of the year.
If we
Pretty
stay
good feeling.
healthy, we're playing our best ball at the right time, then
Yeah.
it could
We
possibly
can
be
make a run. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. Like you had McNabb, you had Westbrook, you had Brian Dawkins, you had Trotter came back, and you had
Mhm.
Runyon and Trey Thomas in that offensive line. So many great years. What'd you think of Coach K's final home game?
Well, I got back in time to see the second half of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, ESPN was hyping this thing beyond belief. I mean, they had Reese Davis and all their game day crew down there for like 4 days in advance, talking about this thing. And it was a great game. It's the greatest rivalry to me in sports. It's Carolina and Duke basketball. It really is. And if you go back through the annals of all the history, it's about as even as it gets too. And that's what makes it such a great rivalry. They're 8 miles apart. There's true dislike, disdain for one another, which is great. Vitriol, if you will. And it's a very even matchup over the course of history. And of course, Duke, kicked their rear end at the Dean Dome a couple of weeks ago. And apparently, I didn't know this at the time, Duke was pissed off because prior to that game or after that game, they did not acknowledge Coach K in his final game at the Dean Dome. There was no fanfare. Okay. Carolina did nothing for Coach K when he came to the Dean Dome for the last time. And apparently that pissed him off, and that pissed the people at Duke off. So now they're hosting the game, the final game at Cameron Indoor, the storied, home of basketball. And it's a special place. There's no doubt about it. Prices for tickets are through the freaking roof. Jerry Seinfeld's in there because his daughter goes to Duke, and I think his son is going to go to Duke, and he's sitting next to Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, and he probably paid, thousands upon thousands of dollars for the tickets because he can afford it. And it's just this really great event. All these, ex-players returned, to say goodbye to Coach K and all this stuff. And then Carolina kicks their ass in the second half. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I was so rooting for the Tar Heels. You have no idea. I'm not a Coach K guy. And sure enough, after the game, Coach K rebuffed Hubert Davis on the handshake, in the handshake line. He walked right past him. And you can see Hubert Davis going like, yo, what up, Holmes?
What's going on with that?
What's the deal? Well, apparently it's from that the thing that they didn't honor Coach K in any way earlier in the year. Do you believe that?
That's like kind of rival till the end, though. Like
it is. I like it.
I wouldn't have done it, but I respect it. You know what I
Right.
mean? I mean, think about the names in that rivalry.
Well, no, wait,
Like,
you respect what, though? The fact that he didn't shake his hands, or the fact that they didn't have a ceremony for
Both.
Coach K? Okay.
I like that. I like that Coach K was like, you disrespected me in my last trip to your arena.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to disrespect you for my last game in my arena. And I saw this was on Twitter the other day. There was a letter that Mike Krzyzewski sent to Michael Jordan when he found out that Jordan was not going to go to Duke. I don't know if you saw this.
No, I did not.
But like Coach K, I think was like 34, 33 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And just said, you're a fine young man. You're going to have a successful career, blah, blah, blah. And whatever decision you make, it wasn't even decided that he was going to UNC yet, but he pulled out of the possibility of going to Duke. And it was just cool. Like it was, on a typewriter.
Right.
And it was hand signed. It was old school.
Right.
But that made me think of all the names in that rivalry over all those years are just some of the biggest in college athletics, not just college basketball.
No doubt about it. And many of them, I've gone on to the NBA and had tremendous careers too. So, but yeah, to me, it's the ultimate sports rivalry. I'm always, dialed into watching it, but I was really dialed in, when I got home on Saturday night to see the second half. And I'm like, man, it was like a 1-point game at halftime. And I'm like, I'm dialed in for this. Let's go.
Yeah. Who's the most hated Duke player for you?
Well, everybody's going to say Christian Laettner. I loved watching Christian Laettner.
I did too. It's Bobby Hurley for me.
It is. Yeah. Well, he'd be up there. Grayson Allen would probably be on a couple people's lists. Shane Battier, maybe, the guy was always taking charges. He'd be sitting in the lane there and you'd run into him and he'd have the balls to sit in there and take a charge. And he always got the call. I mean, there's a couple right there. I always liked Laettner though. He was a tough son of a bitch.
He was didn't have the great NBA career.
No.
But the collegiate career was absurd.
He lasted a while in the NBA, but not he didn't stand out.
Yeah. It certainly just didn't equal, what he was able to accomplish at Duke. And those days some of those rivalries were just
phenomenal.
Fantastic, just unbelievable. Let's move on to, I want to talk about this because I think it's really interesting. Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. How about that?
So, I mean, he's kind of awoken his Twitter account as a result of being suspended for a year. And like, I got a year. I'm going to be, at least I won't be hurt or I'll be in great shape and all this stuff. And so he gets a year suspension for wagering on the NFL. And some people are like, hey, we're gambling everywhere.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. It should be okay. But do people miss the point, Harry, why it's not good for a professional athlete to gamble on the sport he plays?
No, I know. I totally get it. I mean, I guess the point is, though, that everybody's having a tough time is that the NFL and their teams and, are in bed with certain casino partners. And it's almost like, well, it's cool for us to partner with, this casino or that casino, this sports book or that sports book. But man, if any player decides to bet on football, he's banished for a year. And it's almost, a lot of people are having a hard time with the sort of maybe the hypocrisy of that, I guess. The problem I have with it is like he gets a year ban, which I think it's a super harsh penalty. But yet these guys that have, physical, abuse, or they're abusing their spouse or, whatever,
Mhm.
might get a slap on the wrist and get 2 or 4 games or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what are you really trying to stop or
Yeah.
take a stand against?
Yeah. It seems like selective morality, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The one thing that can knock the NFL off its pedestal is for the games not to be 100% authentic.
On the up and up. Yeah.
Yep, especially now with the legalization of gambling even being more prevalent, because that brings more eyeballs in, and the people are not going to put their money where they don't trust the authenticity of the
Mhm.
result.
The integrity of the result. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
And this coupled with the allegation from Flores about the owner in Miami saying he's going to pay him a bonus to lose.
Yep.
That's still hanging out there.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
hasn't been finalized in any way, shape, or form. I mean, think
Yeah.
about that.
And we fully expect the commissioner to fumble that,
Mhm.
because he has fumbled that. Like you bring it up, like Ray Rice we all saw the video.
Right.
2 games.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson, felony child abuse, got 6 games
6.
for beating his kid with a switch, right?
Mhm.
Greg Hardy beat his girlfriend, 10 games, then reduced to 4.
Right.
Ezekiel Elliott hitting women, 6 games. Ridley, 17 for using a sports betting app. And Josh Gordon basically lost 6 seasons for smoking
For
weed.
marijuana.
Yeah.
Right.
But, the thing is with Calvin Ridley, it's he made a bet, and they said, well, he bet on his team. He didn't bet against it. But if you become indebted to the books,
Mhm.
then there's where the damage can happen, because money can make people do really weird things, either chasing money
Mhm.
or trying to, mitigate your losses. That's
Right.
where the league has to come down hard.
Yeah, and I mean, what was the total amount of his betting?
$1,500.
$1,500. And what
Yeah,
did it cost him in salary?
10 million.
10 million.
Yep.
That's a bad bet.
That's yeah. And how about how he got flagged? This company, I guess it like oversees, I forget what the company's called, but they oversee it, and they flagged him because he did it on his cell phone, and he popped up, and boom, they get him.
It's crazy.
And they do an investigation. This was back in November, I believe, when it was.
Right.
So, just nuts that, he's going to lose an entire year and $10 million or $1,500 a bet. But make no mistake about it, he is not the victim here.
No.
No,
he's not. I mean, it's funny. He was out of football basically trying to tend to like mental health issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not even playing, so he's bored.
Yeah.
You think about it. It's like, dude, I want to watch this football game. Well, maybe I'll throw a couple dollars on my squad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't in there affecting the result.
No. But he he's doing 6. I think he did a 5, 6, and 8 game parlay.
Yeah.
Those are tough to hit, Cal.
It is. It is. They're fun though. You
Yeah,
got so much action.
Yeah. Oh, you got action on everything. And if you hit it, it's a huge payout.
It's a big payout. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, absolutely made a
an example of him. Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, you think about that. If you're doing some sort of crazy parlay, you think that was his first bet? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's a good question.
I think that's a little bit more sophisticated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Than just taking the over.
You really don't know.
You didn't just take the over in the Falcons game against the Saints.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Not to mention his connection to having inside information on who's playing, who's not playing,
and injuries, and how severe they are, and all that kind of thing. Yeah. Which is bigger in the NFL, I think, than any other sport.
Yeah.
Really.
Ooh, yeah, it means so much, and week in and week out.
Yeah.
I know that you mentioned before we started today that Deshaun Watson and our old buddy Joe Banner on his own podcast, apparently, Harry, is sanctioning that the Eagles are in play for Watson or should get Watson.
Well, apparently Joe Banner started this new venture. I just stumbled upon it today on Twitter called the 33rd Team. It's a Twitter feed and a website. and it's all about insider stuff on the NFL from GMs, coaches, and so forth. And he and one of his partners started it. And apparently on that Twitter feed, he indicated that the Eagles, I think it was the Eagles and the Panthers, were the two teams that he mentioned in connection with Deshaun Watson. But he listed the Eagles as the team that would be the most likely landing spot for Watson.
Is that because the Eagles have traditionally, under Jeff Lurie, been a team that is willing to take on problem childs?
Well, they've got
checkered history.
Right. They've got history with that, with the whole Michael Vick thing. Yep. And they've got 3 first-round draft picks, which is like a Haley's Comet type of situation.
Yeah.
And they have need at the position because I don't think they believe Jalen Hurts is the guy.
Yeah. Well,
it's kind of a perfect storm, a cocktail of like, man, we got all this stuff to give to get a guy. There's a guy that's available. He's not going back to his team. Yes, he's got some dirty laundry. And, hopefully that gets cleaned up. And if that doesn't get cleaned up, then this is all moot anyway. But assuming it does get cleaned up, it's easy to connect those dots. But it's different when a guy like Joe Banner says it than when guys like you and I say it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a cacophony, as they say, Har, of reasons why he could end up here.
Right. Love that little music term.
Yeah.
Noise.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about him coming here?
I'd be good with it. He's top 5 talent.
I don't play that morality card very, do I want every one of my athletes to be an angel? Sure. But that's not the
in
real
a perfect world, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So but that's not the reality. Absolutely.
Right.
I think, he's such a dynamic player, and Jalen Hurts is not the guy.
No, I don't think so either.
No. If a starting quarterback or a legit quarterback in the NFL is like porno. You know it when
you see it.
Yes. If you have to ask, is this the right guy? Then no is the answer.
That's the answer. Yep.
So you know it right away. It's just like porn.
It's the 33rd Team FB is the Twitter feed. And it says here in the bio, the best football insider content on the internet. Content from NFL head coaches, GMs, and executives, founded by Real Tannenbaum, who was a former GM of the Jets, I believe. And
yes, he was, Rick
and Joe Banner. So it's the two former GMs put it together.
So this is what 2 former GM presidents, executives do when the 32 teams in the league won't hire you.
Exactly. You make the 33rd team. Exactly. Pretty smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can get hired by a 33rd radio station.
How many hockey teams are there?
32.
32? Okay.
Yeah. Right. Well, Seattle was the 32nd team into the league. It was weird for a couple of years when they had an odd number of teams because Vegas had come in, but the plan all along was obviously to add 2 when Vegas came in, and eventually Seattle's now in there. And
instead of adding 2, they should have subtracted 2.
Yeah, I agree. They're never going to do it.
No, I know.
PA will never allow it because of
Arizona.
Jobs. Yeah, they were going to be playing in that Arizona State arena. Did you see this?
No. Oh, is it like 10,000 seats or something?
10. Oh, geez, you're way high.
Is it 8?
It's 5,000 seat, but I think with all the NHL upgrades and everything they have to add to it to make it an NHL building, according to regs, it's basically going to be about 3,800 paid seats in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they claim they're going to make the same amount of money because they're going to charge more. But who's going to pay, to go? I think it's cool to go see a team in that building.
Because it's got to be intimate.
As a novelty thing. Yeah. It's
right.
a great, it's like when the Eagles went out in the West Coast and played the Chargers in that small
soccer stadium. Yeah, right. Yeah.
But they're committed there, I think, for at least 3 years. And that's what the lease arrangement is. And, while this other arena maybe gets built, who knows? It's Arizona. It's been a mess. But they're not even seats. They're bench seating. Do you think older people are going to go out there and pay to sit on a bench?
Oh, no way. I want
to pay a premium dollar. You better put a goddamn lazy boy in there for that price.
I want some nice comfort.
Yeah, I want like the stadium seating at a movie theater.
Right, like a big recliner or something. Yeah.
Although I will tell you, I was out of town this weekend with my son. We went to we were up in North Brunswick, New Jersey for his AHF playoffs for his midget team. And so we had
Can
two
you
games
say
on.
midget?
Yeah, it's midget hockey.
Oh, okay.
It's not referring to someone's stature, Harry.
Okay.
And I can say that because I'm not far off.
Right.
But they'll end up changing that eventually because somebody will be offended.
Right.
Because they always are. But so the Saturday night, after we had two games on Saturday, he wanted to go see the Batman movie. And there was a theater right across the street. So we got back from the second game and I looked it up and boom, we could get in there at 8:00 for an 8:00 showing. And the theater's like kind of packed. So we go in and we sit down and we're in seats 10 and 11. And he sits in the one chair, I sit to his right. And then eventually I realized that, shit, we're actually in 11 and 12, not 10 and 11. And these people come in, I got to move over to the chair to the left of Evan.
You know what that is.
There's
That's
like
jeez.
Yeah,
Those guys are coming in the row, and hey, I'm in seat 11 here, Chief.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And like the previews are already on. I'm like, you weren't here in time.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's now my seat.
Right.
And had I known what I was moving over to, I definitely wouldn't have moved.
Oh, what happened?
Because it was like there was like a softball on my left ass cheek. I kept on like, am I sitting on a bottle or something? Like there was a lump in the recliner.
Oh, in the cushion. In the cushion. Oh.
And I'm free. I'm like, this is so goddamn uncomfortable. And this movie is 176 minutes.
Are you serious? It's 3 hours.
Yep. And by the end, I'm sitting on my side because my whole left side, my leg and my ass cheek are dead ass asleep. I got no cushion over there. Now, the movie, I had never seen a Batman movie before.
Okay.
I never saw The Dark Knight. I never saw Michael Keaton or Ben Affleck or Christian Bale as Batman.
Right.
This is my first Batman movie. I'm not
Wasn't
a superhero.
Clooney
guy.
Batman too in one?
I think he was.
Yeah, I think so.
And Val Kilmer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Was as well. So I have no experience with these kind of movies. The movie was phenomenal.
Really?
Fantastic.
Wow.
Loved it. Right? But my whole left side and my ass cheek are like numb.
So when you got up to leave, could you not feel your foot on that?
Oh, I was like
side?
dragging my left leg out of the theater like it was a dead limb. You know? It was horrible. And Evan's like, what's your deal? And I'm like, sit in this chair. And he's like, oh, that is bad. But
could you imagine if Angelo had to sit in that seat?
Oh, Jesus. He would be freaking out. This chair's ridiculous. I need a refund. He'd demand that they bring the movie to his house.
Right.
I can watch this on my Barca lounge at home. That's what he would be doing.
Yep.
He's a guy that would always make noise.
Uh-huh.
Look at this one French fry's not cooked like the rest. Just like freaks out over everything. Ow. I'm going to ask you, Al, for your opinion on something, but I'm not going to let you say it.
Right.
Unbelievable,
oh, man.
But no, the movie was awesome, man.
Oh, good.
And I hadn't been to a theater in a long time, Harry.
Now, who's the actor this time?
Who was Batman?
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson.
Oh, okay. He was in what was that very popular movie he was in years ago? He was like a heartthrob, and if you were like a teenager or in your early 20s, you had
a vampire movie or something.
Yeah, I think it was something like. Man, I should know this.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now because Twilight.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he's in the Twilight.
It was like a series, I think. Weren't there multiple
Twilight
movies?
Saga.
Yeah.
Yeah, Twilight was the original, then the Twilight Saga, and it looks like there's at least 3 of them. 4 of them now that I'm seeing. 5 of them now.
Wow.
Jesus, man, this dude's must rolling in it. But he was good as Batman. I mean, I don't have anything to compare him against, but I thought it was good. And especially, but I will tell you this, Harry, I'm going to be 50 this month.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'll be 50 on the 30th. So in 22 days.
Wow.
And I feel like I'm old because the volume of the movie was so friggin' loud. I wanted to go out and be like, can you guys just turn it down a little bit? Now you're talking about a guy like me that's been to many a hard rock show.
Yeah, you and I we witnessed some of the loudest music of all time.
Yeah. I've never been to a concert louder. The loudest 2 I've ever been to at Wells Fargo Center, AC/DC. was so loud I couldn't hear for days. And Slayer at the Electric Factory, the loudest 2 concerts I've ever been to.
Okay.
Slayer,
The Cure.
I
was at the
early.
Cure, and that was one of the loudest concerts I've ever been to.
Wow. What year were you at the Cure, Har?
It was Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. So it had to be around 86.
Yeah, 86 or 87.
Say. Yeah.
I saw the Cure in 89, I think it was. The Disintegration Tour, which is the next album.
Right.
And I saw the Wish Tour of the Cure at the Spectrum as well.
Huh. They're loud, though.
Yeah. Very good live band, though.
They are.
See, nobody would have pegged you or I for the melancholy tones of Robert Smith and the Cure. You know what I mean? But
yes.
But good music's good music.
It is.
And the Cure's a good band.
They are. I wonder what he looks like these days.
I actually Googled him not that long ago. He kind of looks the same, but just his face is a little, droopier.
Yeah, a little looser. Yeah. Wow.
But it's funny when you see the Cure, and he has such a thick English accent that they'll do a song and the crowd goes, right? And then he'll utter something and nobody has any idea what he says. And everybody's looking at each other going, what did he say?
What did he say? So, but you thought that the movie sound was uncomfortably loud now.
Yeah.
So you're feeling old.
Yeah. And even Evan said something. He goes, I was out there waiting for a burger because I ordered a burger and fries for him because he'll eat a burger from goddamn anywhere.
Right.
I'm like, why would you get a burger at a movie theater? But they're like, oh, it'll be 20 minutes. I'm like, are you serious? Don't have something on the menu.
Right.
When I'm going to a movie theater that is going to take 20 minutes for you to prepare.
Well, I guess since the movie's 180 minutes, they figured they had plenty of time.
Yeah, but I should never have to leave the theater.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, I'm in line there 15 minutes before the movie's slated to start. I shouldn't have to get up.
I agree.
So I was a little ticked off at that. But he's like, when you left and the previews were on, he's like, I wanted to put my earbuds in because it was so loud.
Huh.
And he's 15.
Right.
So it wasn't just me. So that's where I'm at.
So, let's beware that it's a very loud soundtrack if you're going to go see The Batman.
Yeah. From what I'm told, this is the way it is now. They crank it up.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right, let's wrap this up, Har. Who just give out the college play that you have again for tonight on the Parx Sportsbook app.
I took under in the Gonzaga St. Mary's game tonight. Tips off at 9:00 Eastern, I believe. It's the finals of the West Coast Conference tournament. Under 140.5.
All right, 140.5 total in that game tonight. St. Mary's and Gonzaga. Most famous Gonzaga basketball alum is it got to be John Stockton?
Yeah, probably Stockton. Or how about that guy Morrison? He had the porn stash and kind of the long hair. I forget his first name.
Zach Morrison.
He was a long, lanky, like 6'9" white dude with a porn stash.
Yeah. Wasn't it Zach Morrison?
No, I don't think it's Zach Morrison. Let me check.
Remember. I know who you mean, though. I can see him in my head.
Yeah,
but he looked like a throwback player.
He did. Adam Morrison.
Not Jim Morrison.
No, not. I knew you were going there.
Get the Parx Sportsbook app and put it on your phone. Check out all the different ways you can bet the college hoops, the tournament this weekend at Sawgrass, the NBA, NHL, you name it. You can bet it all there. Check it out. Download it. Open up an account. Deposit, and your first bet will be risk-free up to $500. You can use it on that under in the Gonzaga St. Mary's game as well. Risk-free bet up to $500. And make sure you follow Parx on the social channels at Parx Sportsbook on Twitter, on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook as well. All right, Harry, that's episode 14 in the bag.
Awesome.
Any last words for the people?
Give us a follow on Twitter too at Harry Mays TU. What do you got? At Jason Mert.
At Jason Mert. Yeah. And make sure you subscribe, leave us a rating and review, and we'll bring you another episode coming up a week from today.
Yeah, and send us some tweets too about what you think of what we're doing. Do you like it? Do you hate it? What would you like us to do? Maybe in addition.
What do you want more of and less of?
Right.
I like that. All right, everybody, have a great Tuesday. We'll talk to you next week on the Parx Sports